Okay, I'm continuing. This is the second part of episode 3. Don't touch your dials. I just I got cut off a bit because I'm using an old computer. Anyway, back to what I was saying. We get the fight with Obi-Wan, Anakin, and Count Dooku, and he's like, I've been looking forward to this. And Anakin's like, my powers have doubled since we last met, Count. I was like, good. Twice the pride, double the fall. And then they have their fight. It's pretty short. It's not like as long as the Phantom Menace's fight or Attack of the Clones. But then we get later in the film we get an epic fight at the end. So I'll just get to that later. Anyway, this time Dooku fights with Obi-Wan, and once again he like traps him under the under like a bridge or what have you. And then Anakin has this fight alone with him, and then he's like, I sense great fear in you, Skywalker. You have hate, you have anger, but you don't use them. And then Anakin gets really pissed, and then he goes over there and he fights Dooku, and his powers have doubled because he cuts Dooku's freaking hands off. I'm like, holy shit, that's badass. Even in a PG-13 film, I'm like, wow, they didn't even do that in Expendables 3. So yeah. Anyway, Chancellor Palpatine's happy. He's like, good, Anakin, good, haha, kill him now. And then Anakin's like, he's hesitant. He's like, I shouldn't. And then Palpatine's like, do it. And then he takes both lightsabers and he cuts freaking Dooku, and you don't see Dooku again. And then Palpatine gets free. He tells Anakin, yeah, he's too dangerous to keep alive, and Anakin feels regret. He's like, I shouldn't have done that. It's not the Jedi way. And then Palpatine says, oh, it was only natural. He cut off your arm, and you wanted revenge. Revenge is a big part of this movie. It really is. But it works in my favor, definitely. I wanted a shift in tone. I didn't want a silly movie like, people thought Phantom Menace was. They took Phantom Menace and then they made it darker, and it works in its favor. And this is before Nolan's Batman films, by the way. Anyway, next, Obi-Wan, Anakin goes to Obi-Wan and says, oh yeah, he seems to be alright. And then Palpatine's like, no, leave him, or we'll never make it. And then, they talk about that. And then later, the vice, you get to see General Grievous, who is this big robot Sith character that he coughs a lot. He's like, what's the situation? And then he talks to the Viceroy, and he says, oh, the two Jedi are on their way to rescue the Chancellor, and it's like, just as Count Dooku predicted. Yeah, it was pretty funny to see that. And then they activate the ray shields. Obi-Wan, Anakin, and the Palpatine are stuck in the ray shields, and they can't get out, and they're like, oh, let's just have patience, and we'll find a way out of the ray shields. R2 comes out, and he screams, and goes, boom, and he hits a door, and he gets them out of the ray shields. They find a way that they try to fly a ship out of where they were at, in the hangar, I believe it was. And it's under attack. General Grievous is trying to follow them. Grievous is a very creepy robot in this movie. They fly off, and then the half of the ship burns, and they're going in too fast, so they have to go really slowly into the atmosphere, and then they land on I believe on Coruscant. And then Obi-Wan says, yeah, another happy landing. See, it is dark, but it also knows when to be light as well. And then they get to the Jedi Temple. The Palpatine talks to Mace Windu, and he says, oh yeah, they killed Count Dooku, but General Grievous has escaped, and until we capture him, the war's not going to be over. And Mace Windu's like, okay, so finding Grievous should be our number one priority. And then Obi-Wan had to go to the council to talk to them. Anakin meets up with Padme, once again played by Natalie Portman, and she doesn't do much in the film, but I thought her acting was it's as good as it's gonna be in the prequel trilogy, and I love Natalie Portman no matter what. They hug, and she's like, oh, there was news that you were killed, and he's like, I'm alright. And then he hugs, he embraces her, and he feels her trembling, and it's like, what's going on? And she's like, something wonderful's happened. I'm pregnant. And he's like, oh my god, that's wonderful. I can't believe it. And then Amidala's like, what are we gonna do? And he's like, no, we'll be fine. This is a happy moment. And then they hug again. I feel the emotion. When Anakin loses Padme in the film, I felt it. And when Edward loses Bella in Breaking Dawn Part 1, I felt nothing. Just whatever. Anyway, General Grievous goes to talk to Lord Sidious, you know who that is by now. This is the third movie in the prequel trilogy. Um, he says, "Oh, the loss of Count Dooku was a necessary loss. Soon I'll find a new apprentice. Wink, wink. One that's younger and far more powerful." It's all set up to get Darth Vader, so you know where this is going. Um, Padme and Anakin talk again. There's a scene where she's stroking her hair, which I think is really well done. She's combing her hair and she says, "I want my baby to be born in Naboo, and by the garden or whatever." And he's like, "You're so beautiful," and it's because I'm so in love. And by the way, Natalie Portman looks gorgeous in the scene. She gets this big belly. I'm like, wow, she's just beaming. And then Anakin, once again, like in episode 2, gets a nightmare that Padme is going to die in childbirth, that she's not going to make it giving birth to, who it is, the babies. And then he wakes up and he's shirtless and he covers his face because he's like in so much pain and turmoil. And I think it works. Lucas is not perfect. I know that when he wrote these prequels, but he captured, some emotion even out of the actors that he got. And even though a lot of people say no, they're robots and they're monotone, but when there's emotion and you feel it, you really feel it. And Padme goes to comfort Anakin. She's like, "What's wrong?" And he's like, "Nothing." It's like, and she's like, "No, how long is it gonna take for us to be honest with each other?" And he's like, "I had a nightmare, like the one about my mother before she died, and it's about you, and you die in childbirth." And she's like, "And the baby?" And he's like, "I don't know." See, subtlety. Subtlety's not a bad thing, people. You want me to feel something in a movie? Make sure that the two characters, I have some kind of connection with them. I didn't have a connection to Edward and Bella in Twilight. I didn't have a connection with the girl from The Host. I didn't have a connection with any of these forced romances in all these movies. Even Katniss and Peeta in The Hunger Games, I do. And that's a knock on all those haters out there. Because, that franchise is also pretty, you know, criticized as well. Anyway, back to episode 3. They talk for a little bit, and he's like, I don't want to lose you. I don't want this to come true. I have to find a way to save you and save the baby so that we could live, happily ever after, or so we say." Later on, he talks to Obi-Wan. They have their little banter. I think Obi-Wan goes to, I think it's not Kashyyyk. It's a planet, I think it's Utapau, where, he wants to find out where Grievous is. He talks to these aliens, and he says, "Oh, there's no war here." But he's like, "Oh, we're being held hostage by a bunch of battle droids, and General Grievous is here." And they give him this giant lizard thing that has a weird beak, and he's riding on it, and it looks better than a lot of the Transformers films anyway, the CG. Anyway, Anakin, I forgot what he did in the other scene. I haven't seen the movie in a while, but anyway, Obi-Wan tries to contact, find Grievous, and he fights him in Utapau, and he's like, "Hello there," and then General Grievous, he freaking takes his robe off, and he has all these lightsabers, and he goes, "Vuh, vuh, 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 vuh." I thought that was badass in the theater. I don't know how people can hate a movie where a robot has freaking 6 lightsabers, 6, and like 3 on each arm, and he swings it like a freaking, like a freaking buzzsaw. It's crazy. Of course, Obi-Wan Kenobi, like, just freaking, I think it's 6 or 4, something like that. Anyway, he fights Grievous. He cuts off his arms. They have this pretty cool fight in Utapau, and then Obi-Wan at the end, so freaking, he loses the lightsaber, so he shoots Grievous right in the chest and his heart, and he explodes, and then he's like so uncivilized, and then Grievous is dead, so they think that the war is going to be over, but then you get, there are some boring scenes with like Jimmy Smits. I don't think Jimmy Smits brought the episode 2 and 3 down a peg for me, because he wasn't in the first movie, but then they give him a nothing role in this film, and he does nothing for me anyway. Um, well, there's also Yoda who talks to Anakin. That's what I forgot. That he talks to Anakin, saying, what's the problem? You have premonitions about what? And he's like, about pain and loss, and he's like, a fear of loss is going to lead to the dark side, and you gotta let go of the thing that you love the most, even if you have to, because you can't get too attached, because it will lead to jealousy and the shadow of greed. And Anakin's so conflicted. He doesn't want to lose Padme. He talks to Palpatine, and Palpatine wants to make him a master, but the Jedi don't want to allow it because they don't feel he's ready and he feels he's too arrogant. And Mace Windu's like, oh, we can't make you a master. You got to take a seat. You have to wait for your time. It's not your time yet. And Chancellor Palpatine talks to Anakin and says, "There's a way for you to save Padme." Have you ever heard of what was it? I forgot what was his name. I think it was Darth Plagueis. I think it was Plagueis or something like that. That he was able to use the midichlorians, which is the last time they mention it, and to create life, and he can save people from death. And he says, Anakin's like completely. He's like, "Is there a way to learn this power?" And he's like, and Chancellor Palpatine was like, "Not from a Jedi." So basically, he's persuading him to join the dark side. And I think it's done well. Ian McDiarmid is a really badass villain. I thought that in the original, and when he played the Emperor in Episode 6 in Return of the Jedi, which I'll get to soon, and he's a great villain here. Then, of course, Obi-Wan has this weird feeling that there's something uneasy about the Republic, and it's like, and then Anakin has a scene with Padme saying that what if we were living a lie and this was all, we were on the wrong side? And he's like, I don't believe that. You're sounding like a separatist. And then she's like, we should just get away from all this where there's no plotting or war or anything. And but later on they find out, the Jedi's find out Anakin goes to talk to Chancellor Palpatine, and he's like, oh, he's like, he's like, oh, I was taught everything about the Force, including the nature of the dark side. And Anakin's like, you know the dark side? And Chancellor Palpatine if wants to know anything about the Force, you need to know about both sides, the light and the dark. And then Anakin takes out his lightsaber. He's like, you're the Sith Lord. You were the one that was plotting to take over the Republic. And then Chancellor Palpatine is like, oh, I can feel your anger. It makes you focus, makes you stronger. And then he does this circle. Lucas does a great job directing this scene because he's circling around the actors, and you see McDiarmid talking, and he's like, only through me can you achieve a power greater than any Jedi that's ever lived. And he said, learn from my wisdom to save Padme from certain death. And Anakin wanted to kill him, but he couldn't because he's so conflicted. He's like, how am I supposed to be a Jedi, yet I can't save Padme with the Force? So he goes to talk to Mace Windu because Obi-Wan is still in Utapau. This is later when the clone troopers give him his lightsaber and they're about to do Order 66. Before that, that comes later. Anyway, Anakin talks to Mace Windu, and if these reviews seem out of place, it's not completely, in sequential order, don't bear with me because I haven't seen the films in a while, but I'm trying to remember from memory. It's all up here. Anyway, he talks to Mace Windu, and they said, I think Chancellor Palpatine is a Sith Lord. And Mace Windu's like, he's a Sith Lord? And you didn't tell us? It's like, are you sure about this? And then he's like, yeah, he told me himself that he knew about the dark side. And then Mace Windu's like, wow, then the fear is what we most feared, it has come true. The Chancellor, the leader of the Republic, is an evil guy. And then like, oh, I'm gonna have to go and arrest him. And Anakin's like, I want to go with you. It's like, no, you have to stay here because I'm and then Mace Windu goes to try to arrest Palpatine, and he says, in the name of the Galactic Senate of the Republic, you are under arrest. And he's like, are you trying to threaten me, Master Jedi? And it's like, you're a threat to the Republic. You're the threat to the Senate. And it's like, I am the Senate. And then he does this freaking flip, and he has his red lightsaber, and he kills two of the Jedis that are with Mace Windu. And they have this pretty awesome fight. Mace Windu takes out his purple lightsaber. They duke it out. And for an old man, I think he has some kick-ass moves. Stallone, you can learn something from this. You can be old and still have a badass fight. They have their fights. He's like, ah, yeah, zoom, zoom, and then of course he breaks the freaking window in the room, and then Mace Windu knocks his lightsaber down. Mace Windu had him killed. He was gonna end this, and he's like, you are under arrest, my lord. Yeah, I know he's not gonna say motherfucker. It's PG-13, and it's a Star Wars movie. I don't need that word in a Star Wars movie. Anyway, Anakin shows up because he's so conflicted. He's like, oh, I don't want to lose Padme. I can't lose her. and he flies over to, and he meets up with Mace Windu, and then Chancellor Palpatine's like, Anakin, you were, see, I was right. The Jedi are taking over. And then Mace Windu's like, the threat of the Sith will never rise. You have lost. And then Palpatine does this creepy voice. He's like, no, 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 you will die. And then this freaking lightning comes out of his fingers. It's so freaking cool. But Mace Windu uses his lightsaber to block the freaking, the lightning, and he tries to fight it off, and then he burns his face. He burns his face like, I am the power to save the one you love. You must choose. And Mace Windu's like, don't listen to him, Anakin. Don't let him kill me, the Palpatine. And then his skin starts to be deformed, and he looks horrible, and he has these yellow contacts. And he's like, I can't hold on much longer. I'm too weak. Yep, and I know the feeling sometimes. Then Mace Windu's like, I'm going to end this once and for all. But Anakin's like, no, you can't. He must stand trial. And he's like, he's got control over the Senate and the courts. He's too dangerous to be kept alive. And then the Chancellor Palpatine's like, no, please don't kill me. And then Anakin's like, no, I need him. And then Mace Windu's about to strike him, and then Anakin goes, no, and cuts his freaking arm off, and he has no hand. And then the Chancellor Palpatine goes, power! And then he shoots Mace Windu. And basically, people, if you didn't know that Samuel Jackson was gonna die in this movie, you're I'm sorry to say this, but you don't know what you didn't see that coming. I'm sorry. That's just that's dumb, because I knew that going in. If you knew that what this movie would lead up to, all the Jedis die in this movie except for Obi-Wan and Yoda. So anyway, he goes, unlimited power! Right to the freaking window. Mace Windu falls to his death. And then the Emperor's like, ah. And then Anakin's like, what have I done? Oh my God, what have I done? And then Palpatine goes up, and he's like, you're fulfilling your destiny, Anakin. Become my apprentice. Learn to use the dark side of the Force. And Anakin's like, I'll do whatever you want. Just please save Padme. I can't live without her. And Palpatine's like, to cheat death is a feat that no one has ever done. But if we work together, I know that we could discover the meaning of that. And then he pledges himself to be in the dark side. And then Emperor Palpatine's like, the Force is strong with you. A powerful Sith will you become. And then this was a cool scene. Definitely a nod to the fans. From this day forward, you will be known as Darth Vader. And I'm like, wow, that's freaking awesome. And then Anakin's like, yeah, thank you, my master. And it's like, rise. And then, he puts the hoodie on, which we've seen from the original. It's like, since they don't trust you, my apprentice, once they found out what's transpired here, they will kill both of us along with all of the senators. So we have to find a way to wipe out all these Jedis and all the Senate and bring peace to the galaxy again. And he's like, go to the Jedi Temple and kill off all the younglings and all the Jedis that are there. And every single Jedi, including your friend Obi-Wan Kenobi, is now a threat to the Republic. So you got to bring peace to the Republic. Of course, we know he's the evil one. The music that plays in this movie is amazing. The score is like dun, 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 dun. I thought that was an amazing score. John Williams, you still got it, man. I hope you kick ass again in episode 7 with the music, because you know how to do it, man. You have not lost your touch. Anyway, Anakin has a hood on, and his eyes are starting to turn red, and he freaking, kills off all these Jedis, and then Order 66 is turned on, and I forgot that Yoda goes to Kashyyyk to meet with the Wookiees, to help with the Republic. You get to see Chewbacca, played by Peter Mayhew again. I'm glad he's still around, man. He's still awesome. Then, he feels a tremor in the Force when, Order 66, the Emperor says it to bring out the clone troopers to kill. They turn on the Republic, and they become evil, and they start to kill off all the Jedis that are all over the galaxy. And then Yoda feels it, and they try to kill Yoda, but Yoda's like, oh, hell no. He takes out his lightsaber and just cuts its freaking head off. And I like that this film got more violent, because, it needed to be that way. It's a dark movie, darker than the first two. But I appreciated that. And then, Anakin goes into the temple and kills off the younglings. It's really gory. I mean, it's not gory. It's just, just the image alone. They don't show him killing the kids because, that's too, strong for some audience members. Anyway, that happens, and there's all this war. Padme doesn't know what's happening. She sees the Jedi Temple's in trouble. You see C-3PO completed, like in the original trilogy, and he says, "Don't worry." And then she starts crying. I felt that. Natalie Portman knows how to cry, people. She won an Oscar in Black Swan, and she cried so much in that movie, and I felt every single cry inside of my soul. Anyway, she thinks Anakin is dead because there was an attack on the Republic, and then he comes to her and he's like, Padme, that what she's like, what's happening? And it's like the Jedi's are trying to overthrow the Republic. It's like, I can't believe this. And like, what about Obi-Wan? And Obi-Wan's like, he's gone. He's like, I don't know. I just hope he's faithful to the Republic. And she's like scared, and he's like, don't worry, my love, everything will be passed on. I'm gonna meet with the not the specialists, the separatists that are in Mustafar, which is this very cool looking like factory place with lava, which is very very it's very atmospheric, and that's where the Viceroy are and all the separatists. And Anakin goes there. He's like, I'm gonna go there to end this war once and for all, and wait for me until I return. He goes to Mustafar. And the music, just the way he looks, you could tell with the hoodie. And they say, oh, Lord Vader, when he gets there, he's going to take care of you. Hint, hint. You know what's going to happen. He's like, welcome. The Viceroy says, welcome, Lord Vader. We've been expecting you. Then Anakin closes the doors with the Force. And then takes out his lightsaber and just kills everybody. It's freaking awesome. In this movie, I wanted to root for the bad guys. It's one of the fun reasons of why being a Star Wars fan. Who didn't get a thrill when they saw Darth Maul kill Qui-Gon in Episode 1. I thought it was pretty cool. I mean, it was spoiled for me before I saw the movie, so it wasn't really that shocking. But, sometimes you want to root for a bad guy. And here I did. And the Viceroy, let's face it, if people were annoyed with them in the first film, at least in this one, they finally die. Anakin's like, it's like, Lord Sidious said there would be peace. And then he's like, oh, and then his eyes start to turn, like, right here in the box. That's a cool image, very pretty scary, and they show the dark side. They do not push it out, and they don't hold back. Lucas didn't do that, and people are like, oh, it's the Lord Revenge of the shit. Ugh. I don't listen to the haters. I'm tired of them. They're probably the same people that are gonna bitch about Ultron in Age of Ultron next year, saying, oh, Ultron looks like shit. And you people know who you are. You know exactly who you are. That's a movie I'm gonna defend to the grave because I love the first Avengers. Anyway, back to Episode 3. I'm sidetracking. Then Obi-Wan talks to Padme, and he's, actually before he talks to Padme, he talks to Yoda, who is kicking ass. He's killing all these freaking clone troopers I think it was in Kashyyyk. And then when he leaves Kashyyyk, he goes to the Jedi Temple, and he meets up with Obi-Wan, and there's like, wow, not even the youngling survives. And it's pretty brutal. There's dead bodies everywhere. There's a lot of destruction. There's a lot of, there's a clouded atmosphere, it's very dark. And the dark tone works for this film. It wouldn't have worked in the first film, but here it does, because it's the third chapter. Anyway, Yoda knew that this was going to happen in a way. He sensed it. And then he says, if you go into the recording, into the files, only pain that you're going to find. And then Obi-Wan is like, I got to know how this happened. He sees some of the recording files, and then he sees somebody killing off the Jedis, and then he's like, it can't be. You gotta be kidding me. It can't be. And then it's Anakin, he's like pledging himself to the Emperor, and he's like, go restore peace to the galaxy. And then Obi-Wan can't take it, he shuts it off, and then Yoda's like, destroy the Sith, we must. And I said, let me kill the Emperor, I can't hurt Anakin. And Obi-Wan is like, and Yoda's like, no, to fight the Emperor, you're not strong enough. And then he has to fight the Emperor. So Obi-Wan's like, I can't kill Anakin. He's my best friend. He's like a brother to me. I can't fight him. But then Yoda's like, twisted by the dark side. Young Skywalker has become. The boy you train, gone he is. Consumed by Darth Vader. And it's like, you have to put your feelings aside. He's like, oh, but where am I going to find them? It's like, search your feelings, Obi-Wan, and find them you will. and then he goes off to fight Anakin. I think it's pretty epic. Once they get to Mustafar, and you know he tells Emperor Palpatine that all the Separatists are dead. You know their plan is going accordingly, and he gives him a couple of things to do, and he's like, "Very good, my lord." He pretty much is waiting there for Padme. Padme shows up and hugs him, and she's like, and he's like, "What are you doing out here?" Oh, I know, but before that, I forgot to mention that Obi-Wan talks to Padme and says, yeah, Anakin's joined the dark side. And she's like, what? I don't believe you. Why would he do that? He would never do something like that. How can you say such a thing? And he's like, I saw recordings of him killing younglings in the Jedi Temple. And she's like, I don't believe you. And he's like, Padme, tell me where he is. I need to know where he is. And she's like, you're going to kill him, aren't you? And he's like, he's become a great threat, and I have to do what I must. And then he knows that Padme is pregnant, so he's like, Anakin is the father, isn't he? And he's like, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, I get it. You see, I get it. You don't have to make a 3-hour movie to explain why he's so sorry about that. Anakin, his seed is inside of Padme, and before he joined the dark side. Anyway, Obi-Wan goes to he flies off to Mustafar to fight Anakin, but before that, you have this emotional scene with Padme talking to Anakin, and she's like, Obi-Wan told me some terrible things. He said, what did he tell you? And she's like, that you joined the dark side, that you were killing younglings. And it's like, Anakin, all I want is your love. And it's like, love won't save you, Padme. Only my new powers will do that. But she's like, at what cost? You're a good person. Don't do this. And he's like, no, we don't need to be afraid anymore. I brought peace to the Republic. The Chancellor, I can overthrow him, and you and I can rule the galaxy, make things the way we want to be. And she's like, I can't believe what I'm hearing. Obi-Wan was right. You've changed. And he's like, I don't want to hear any more about Obi-Wan. He turned against me. Don't you turn against me. And she's like in tears, but I can understand that. And she's like, I don't know any anymore, Anakin. You're breaking my heart. And I'm like, I was in tears in the theater. I was like, wow, Natalie Portman, you owned it. You took a script that could have been horrible, but you made it work. That's why these movies made so much money, all you haters out there. Anyway, you're going down the path I love you. And he's like, liar! And then Obi-Wan comes out and she's like, you're with him. You send him here to kill me. And he starts choking her. And she's like, gasping for air, and Obi-Wan's like, let her go, Anakin. Not let it go, like, to all you Frozen fans out there. He's like, let her go. He lets her go. She drops to the floor. She's not dead yet. And then he's like, you turned her against me. Yeah, people will say that's terrible. I've seen worse, okay? I've seen Robert Pattinson try to be dramatic, and it made me laugh. And then Obi-Wan says, you did that yourself. Takes his robe off. You want to take her from me? And Obi-Wan's like, your lust for power has been your undoing. You've allowed this Dark Lord to twist your mind, and now you've become the very thing that you swore that you were going to fight against. And Anakin's like, don't lecture me, Obi-Wan. I've seen through the lies. I don't fear the dark side like you. I have brought peace, freedom, justice, and security to my new empire. And Obi-Wan's like, your new empire? And he's like, don't make me kill you. And Obi-Wan's like, Anakin, my allegiance is to the Republic, to democracy. And then Anakin's like, if you're not with me, then you're my enemy. And Obi-Wan's like, only a Sith feels an absolute. I will do what I must. And then he says, you will try. And then you have this epic freaking battle that I waited years to see. It was people have waited since the first movie to see this fight between Anakin and Obi-Wan going at it. It's a very fast pace. It's a very long, epic battle. I don't want to hear it out there. This is one of the best lightsaber battles I've ever seen. You have the blue. They both have the same color lightsaber. Okay, Anakin should have had a red one because he's Darth Vader now. This is before he's burnt. They have the epic fight. The music is all over the place. Like dun, 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 dun. It's epic. I love this fight. It was I think I have a lithograph here. No, I can't find it right now. But anyway, it was one of the coolest fights to see on the big screen. Then, of course, Yoda meets up with Emperor Palpatine. His guards, he just like flicks him with the Force. There's like Emperor Palpatine is like, Master Yoda, now your blindness your arrogance blind you, Master Yoda. Now you'll feel the full power of the dark side." And he shoots him, and Yoda falls to the ground, and he starts laughing, and then Yoda gets up, and then he's like, "Not to say about it, I have," and then he pushes whatchamacallit, Palpatine off his chair. It's hilarious because he just flips off and his legs go up. It's crazy. And he's like, "At an end your rule is," and not short enough it was. I'm sorry, you can't do Yoda as a puppet fighting Palpatine. It would have looked laughable. CG, it kind of works in a way, like they did with Gollum in Lord of the Rings. And then he's like, "If so powerful of you, why leave?" That was epic. I love that. And then Emperor Palpatine's like, "It doesn't matter. Darth Vader will be more powerful than either of us." And she's like, "Faith in your new apprentice?" Yeah, that's a mistake right there. And then they start fighting too. And there's the epic music. You know, you hear the music from the Phantom Menace, and then you hear the new music, and it's just lightsabers. It's nonstop action. This movie isn't boring to me. It's over 2 hours long, and I didn't even feel it because there's an abundance of action in the movie, and it was so badass. And then Anakin and Obi-Wan, they fight in Mustafar. They're floating on these little things near the lava, and they fight each other. And he's like, "I should have known the Jedi were trying to take over the Republic," and Obi-Wan's like, "Anakin, Chancellor Palpatine is evil." And then Anakin's like, "No, in my view, the Jedi are evil." "But then you are lost," Obi-Wan. And it's an emotional fight. I hate fights that are just too short and they have no emotional weight to it. This one did. And then you hear the music. It's like, "La la 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 la," and he's like, "This is the end for you, my master." And it's just epic. I love this fight. I can't gush about it enough. Anyway, there's a scene that Padme's lying down, and they take her to safety, and she's like, "Is Anakin all right?" And the fighting keeps going on. Obi-Wan, Emperor Palpatine and Yoda are fighting each other. He throws these freaking, the seats where the Senate are. Before that, he tells the Senate that we're gonna create the first galactic empire. Bingo! There you go. You got the Empire there, a plug-in for the original trilogy, and then he throws the freaking seats at Yoda, and Yoda's dodging and jumping around. It's so cool. It's like he spins it around, shoots it back at Palpatine. It's freaking awesome. I love that. That's something I didn't see in Man of Steel. It's definitely done better here. Anyway, there's a scene that he's fighting him with the Force, and he's pushing him. Palpatine was about to lose the fight, but then he knocks Yoda off. Yoda's holding on to the one of the seats, and his nails start to fall down. It starts to go, and then he falls off. But he doesn't die. He loses his robe, and then the Palpatine is laughing. Anakin and Obi-Wan continue to fight each other. It leads up to the scene that people remember, where Obi-Wan jumps to the side. It says, "It's over, Anakin. I got the high ground." And he's like, "You underestimate my power." Anakin jumps. Obi-Wan says, "Don't try it." He cuts his freaking legs off, and I'm like, wow, that's badass. And then Anakin is like on the ground, and he could barely move. And Obi-Wan was like, "You were the chosen one. It was said that you would fight the Sith, not join them. Bring balance to the Force, not leave it in darkness." Anakin's eyes are turning yellow. He's starting to burn. He slowly is trying to crawl to Obi-Wan. He says, "I hate you." And then Obi-Wan's like, "You were my brother, Anakin. I loved you so much." And then all of a sudden, Anakin just bursts into flames. He loses his hair. He starts burning. He's like, "Ah! Ah!" And I'm like, wow. If they had done this in other movies, it would have been effective. There's a reason this made more than Expendables 3. And there's a third one in the franchise. Burns, just his face gets burned, and all of his hair, and his arm, and he's left as nothing. Obi-Wan, Yoda, and Bail Organa go where Padme is, where she's going to be delivering the babies. Luckily, the babies survive. And the robot's like, "She's lost the will to live, but we need to work fast if we're going to save the babies." And it's like, babies? And she's having twins. Luke and Leia. She gives birth to Luke and Leia. She gives the names right off the bat, but it didn't bother me. Oh, they said, "Oh, it's a plot convenience." People, we know who the twins are. It's like the twins. Who are the twins in Avengers 2? Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. Anyway, she gives birth, and she says to Obi-Wan, there's good in him. I know there's still good in him, and then she dies. But it was done better here than Amazing Spider-Man 2. That death just pissed me the fuck off. Anyway, you feel it. Anakin is all burnt. He's still crawling on one arm. He's walking with two arms. He has one arm that's burnt, and the other the golden arm keeps reaching. And then the Emperor Palpatine finds him. It's like, there he is. He's still alive. Let's go take him away. And this is when they build the freaking metal body on him. They give him the metal legs, and he's like, ugh! And then they give him the mask, and it's so epic. It's like, hold on one second. I'm gonna come back for a second. Okay, I'm back. I'm back. It goes like this. I want to reenact it because I'm so into this review. I'm gonna be into the next one when I get to the original trilogy. It goes like this. The helmet slowly goes over his head, and it slowly, you see the inside of it, and it goes right into his face. And then the helmet goes, and then you hear, I love that. That was one of the coolest moments. People were cheering just to hear Darth Vader breathe again. And of course, you see him coming up. Oh, I'll do it again. He's lying down. He's lying down like this. And then you see him coming up. And he's like, Emperor Palpatine's like, Lord Vader. And he's like, yes, Master. Where is Padme? Is she alright? And Emperor Palpatine's like, in your anger, you killed her. And he's like, I couldn't have. She was alive. I felt it. And this is the scene that everybody makes fun of. He breaks out of the freaking thing, walks with his metal legs, and he goes, no! Which, people can make fun of that, but I thought it was pretty cool. You got to hear the original voice of Darth Vader, James Earl Jones, go, no! Here, I enjoy. In the other movie, when they added in the Blu-ray of Return of the Jedi, it seems out of place. But here, it fit me. I had to do that, because, I'm so into these movies. Anyway, they do a funeral for Padme. They put flowers on her hair. She pretends that she was pregnant, still pregnant, so that they don't know that the babies were born. Obi-Wan, Bail Organa, and Yoda are saying, what are we going to do about the kids? Bail Organa's like, yeah, this is the only decent thing he does in the film. Jimmy Smith is like, we'll take the girl. My wife and I have always been talking about having a baby girl. And what about the boy? And then Yoda's like, oh, take him to Tatooine, to his family, send them to Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru from Episode 2. And then they said, oh, we have to disband, we have to disappear, the Jedi's no more. And then Yoda's like, Obi-Wan, I have a way for you to reach immortality, and you can talk to Qui-Gon again. And I was like, oh my God, Qui-Gon, that's great. And then, of course, you see the babies are separated. Leia is with Bail Organa and his wife. And then you see Obi-Wan taking the baby Luke and giving it to Aunt Beru, and the smile on her face, I liked it. I'm like, wow, that's a nice nod to the original. And then, of course, Obi-Wan leaves. He goes to the Dune Sea. That's where you're going to meet him in the original trilogy, which I love to death. It's my favorite franchise of all time. And then the movie ends, and I had a smile on my face, and I was like, hell yeah! That was an awesome Star Wars movie. I don't care what anybody says. I love this movie. It's one of my favorites it's my favorite of the prequels. I think it has a lot of action that's cool. The visual effects are amazing. The makeup is really good. The costumes are great. The music is awesome. The acting, it's decent to, like, with some people, because Jimmy Smith has nothing to do in these films. I mean, he's just a boring actor in this film. And also there's some kind of some characters that appear and disappear. Jar Jar's barely in the film. He's like in one scene, and then at the end. There's, a couple of people that were kind of wasted. But anyway, but the good outweighs the bad in this film. I love this movie. I'm glad IMDb gave it a 7 point something. It deserves it. It's a lot better than a lot of the sci-fi movies we get today. It's better than Prometheus. It's better than Man of Steel. It's better than freaking the Total Recall remake, or all these other sci-fi films that we got. Even Elysium, which I thought was decent, but it could have been a little bit better. Didn't have shaky cam. I could see what was going on. The budget is on the screen, baby. I thought, you know, it was a great way to send off the prequels, and then we got the original trilogy, which I still love, no matter what Lucas says. Oh, I'm gonna hold the originals, and no one will ever get it. Guess what, Lucas? I still have the original trilogy box set, and I've had it for years, and I love this. I know I can't play it right now because I don't have a VCR, but I'm still gonna. When I get another VCR, I'm gonna watch these again. You can't take this away from me. I will always have this, and it'll always be a part of my life. I love these movies. I'm gonna get to these soon, but anyway, to end my review of Episode 3. I think it's an awesome popcorn flick. It just turn your brain off. Don't try to think too deeply into it. You know, it's a movie that I wish I had seen in the theater again. Maybe when Episode 7 comes out, they'll re-release all the prequels, and I will see them. I don't care what anybody says. I'll take these prequels and the original trilogy over the new Star Trek films, because they wish they were Star Wars. Anyway, that's the end of the prequel trilogy. Next time, we're going to talk about a classic, a movie that changed cinema, a movie I've loved ever since I saw it when I was 10 years old, and that is the original Star Wars, A New Hope. A movie that a lot of people enjoy, and I love this movie to death. But that's my review of Revenge of the Sith. Take it for what you will. If you like it, that's cool. If you don't like it, that's cool too. But don't be an asshole saying, oh, you don't have any taste because you love this movie. I think it's an awesome sequel. It's a lot better than a lot of sequels today. And I will leave you guys with that. See you later.